Hello, this is Ernest with Zero Time Trucks in Crystal City. I'm working on a Caterpillar 3406E 2WS. We're doing an engine health test on it, and I took a capture on the intake, and of course I showed it on the video. So what I wanted to do was go over a little bit more on that capture, trying to explain some things, so maybe it'll help you out. So let me show. I got it on my desktop. Let me show you. Okay, so right here, this is the capture that I took off that Cat 2WS. This is the intake. So right off the bat, I explained we have a problem, right? So we have a decent pull here, we have one here. This is the better one. This is low, this is low, this is low, this is low. Valve lash adjustment, we might be a little bit tight right here. We might be a little bit tight right here, just a hair. This one's a little bit loose. This one's a little bit tight right here. Okay, so valve lash adjustment, we're pretty close, and we're reaching our peaks where we're supposed to. So that tells me valve timing is okay, valve lash is okay. Where I start to have my problem is right up in here. Okay, so this right here, I believe, is going to be maybe the rocker arms, the rollers, something to that effect. And maybe they're sticking, and that's why there's a change of direction. And then up here, what I have is valve overlap. That's what I'm also looking at when I'm looking at these captures, right? But I can tell you this is no good. So we basically have the same problems that we have down here. We basically have the same problems, and we have them on the exhaust side as well because of this. Okay, I don't normally do an exhaust capture unless I'm really looking for something, because if I have a problem on the intake side, I have a problem. I'm gonna replace the camshaft anyways, so it's gonna take care of the exhaust side too. But you know, we're gonna have worn cam lobes, and we're gonna have rockers, you know, valve lash adjustments and such. But if I see something really distorted, I will look at the exhaust. Maybe I got a bad valve, or we got a bad rocker arm assembly, or it's really out of adjustment, something to that effect. Then I would look at it. But right here, we're as far as that goes, I'm not looking for that, but I am looking for worn cam lobes, and so on and so forth. So that's that one. This is what it should look like. Okay, you see the difference? I mean, it's totally different, right? So right here, this truck has 450,000 miles on it, and this has not been overhauled, so this is really good. I very rarely ever see one of these, but anyway, this one was really good. So you see, they're pretty close as far as the pulls, the intake pulls. This one's a little bit lower. And then I'm also at my peaks, right? I'm reaching my peaks where I'm supposed to. So valve timing is good. Valve lash, a little bit tight, you know, on some of them. Valve, you know, intake pulls were a little bit lower here, but not much. That's okay. Up here, you can see the difference. This is my valve, my intake exhaust valve overlap, right? So I have these markers here, and the intake will open about 10 degrees before top dead center, and the exhaust will close about 15 degrees after top dead center. So with these markers, we're pretty much on, okay? And then with this one, we're not, all right? It's a little bit, it's off, all right? And then we see, you know, some bigger pulls here, you know, just kind of distorted. It's all messed up. So why is this important? Well, this would be important because if you didn't want an EGR valve, you now have one. Okay, so the whole reason for valve overlap is to purge the cylinder, is to flush it, flush the exhaust gases that are left over in the cylinder, you know, with fresh air. Okay, so what happens is the intake valve opens, okay, and then what happens is that you're gonna have, where it's trying to equalize the pressure between the exhaust and the intake, right? So that's why you have a little dip. And then you have an increase because the pressure is greater in the intake than it is in the exhaust. The exhaust is almost atmospheric pressure, which is why on the exhaust stroke, close to the top, we can't get rid of the exhaust anymore because it's equalizing with the pressure outside. So with the pressure coming in from the intake, we're able to flush out the leftover inert gases, you know, exhaust gases that have no oxygen left in it, and it's hot, so we can get rid of it. That's why you see a rise in pressure. Okay, and then the exhaust valve closes, and then we see the vacuum pull, and then it goes, you know, this process starts over and over again. So that's the whole reason for having it. that's the importance of it. I see many of end frames, many of overhauls, and this is what they're going to look like. I don't, you know, to me, what was the point of doing an overhaul if this is what we're going to do? You know, that camshaft is just as important, if not more important, than... Anyway, it went to sleep on me. The desktop went to sleep on me. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about that, and then we can get into more about that if you like. You know, I hear about wet stacking. You know, there's a lot more to wet stacking, carbon buildup, whatever that they want to call it. There's a lot more to it that goes on. It's not because you're idling the truck. There's other issues that are going on, and I saw a video, and well, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, but that's besides the point. You know, it's all about the carbon buildup, all about the wet stacking, blaming it on idling the truck, and that's not where it's coming from. It's coming from things like this, leaking injectors, you know, not atomizing properly. And part of the reason why it's not happening is because you have things like this. We don't have a clean burn. We don't have a complete combustion. We're going to have a rich cylinder. So you after treatment guys, this is the stuff that's going on, or part of it, you know, and this is why you're having problems with your after treatment system. So let's go ahead and delete it, but that's what's actually going on. This is what I'll be looking for. This is what's important, right? So anyway, maybe that'll help you out a little bit. Appreciate you watching.